civilization operates according to these major components, really. And we know what they are. We call them all kinds of things. There's religion, there's government, there's the culture, there's infrastructure, there's arts, there's military, there's prostitution, there's family, there's science, technology, so on and so forth, okay? There's some of the major ones, components of how the human system is set up. But what I wanted to say is that we don't yet realize, or we're not being taught, the connection between government, religion, and spirituality. See, we know what those things are, don't we? I mean, some people might have a little, like, sketchy idea about spirituality. If you're not spiritual, if you're just in the materialistic world, you might believe in a religion or something, or, you know, your family puts you into it. Kind of do like a Easter, Christmas Catholic or something like that. Just part-time, but you don't rebel against it totally. Then most likely you're not a spiritual person. Or maybe you're like a little bit spiritual. You understand that, you know, God has a spiritual side. It's called the Holy Spirit. So you probably figure it comes from that. Or you're really deeply into it and you're developing like this new alternative modality, which they call these activities within the New Age. So the New Age started pretty much around 100 years ago. I trace it back to the period when Hindu gurus, or I should say Vedic, from the Vedas, were coming from India over to the West, and particularly in the United States and Canada. Vivekananda is a name you can look up. He first went to the Chicago World's Fair back in, I don't know if it was like 1871 or 1890. I'm a little bit off on the year there, but it's more than 100 years ago. And when he was there, he was under the direction of his master, who was, I believe his master was Ramakrishna, his guru. So Vivekananda became a guru himself over in America by introducing really the ideas of the Vedas and yoga and meditation for the first time to the general public in the United States. So from there, he wasn't the only one at that time, but he was one of the first, if not the very first pioneer that was part of this new group coming in. And then, of course, there's the Helena Blavatsky, the Theosophy movement, all this and that. So this is really spirituality. It's opening up the mind to trying out different things like psychic or channeling or tarot cards or astrology or, you know, just lucid dreaming, things like that, okay? Which a lot of them are questionable. I don't do all of them. I investigate some of them and some of the things that I practice. You know, I'm really big on astrology. Don't ever come down on astrology because I won't appreciate it. That's one thing that I've studied for 30 years. Forget about it. I don't care if you tell me it's against it in the Bible or this and that. You can forget it. I will argue you into the ground. You ain't going to put away astrology for me. That's clear. Having said that, look at the whole New Age thing in spirituality. What do you think that is? That's actually the hotbed for the formation of religion. Now, rewind it all the way. Look at the religions that are established. You know, the major religions. Of course, I said Hindu already, which traces way, way back. There's Buddhism, which traces not quite as far back. And of course, there's Egyptology, which is a whole other thing, because it's not really like an active religion. It's kind of buried within a lot of the other ones. But look at the dollar bill. There's a pyramid on it with an eye. That's Egyptology. Now hold on, that's a whole other video. We're going to talk about just the religions that are major now. Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and there's a few other ones that came along later. Of note is the Baha'i faith. That's a religion. That's not even 200 years old yet. Now all of these, where do you think they come from? They come from one individual amidst people that were doing a movement, an alternative spiritual movement at the time. That individual then gathered some people to form a small group, a core embryonic cell that would then be born out into the world, and eventually, when it gained some credibility and a mass popular movement, it was then going to be called a religion. And you reflect back on it and say, that's the religion. Once it becomes a religion, we forget that it was a spiritual movement. But people that dig deeper, people that are Christians who care, people that are like open-minded, awakened Christians have realized this. I don't know if they've explained it the way I do, but they would totally agree. Make your comments if you do agree. Tell me where you come from in this. When did you realize these things? What are the major points about it that you see? But here it is again. Religion is a status that is given to some body of knowledge. And religion's a very big area. And you've got to realize that all religion starts as a spiritual activity under one person with a small group. And some of those other people in the group may be just as important as the one person, but there's always one single person that's the founder. Always. Always. And then there's supplementary people. And as I said, everybody has their part to play. They're all pieces. One person can't do it on their own. That's impossible. Even Adam couldn't start the human race. That's impossible. There had to be Eve. And then they say there was Lilith, but that's a whole other can of worms. Going back to the Garden of Eden and that myth. And it's mythic. It's not false and a fiction. It's actually mythic because it's... Anyhow, I'm not going to give you the definition of mythic again. This is just a video about the components of the civilization that we have today. Here's the final connection I want to make for you, now that you understand spirituality unto religion. I need you to understand government, even what they call secular government. Government is a derivative. It's derived from religion. I know you're saying, hey, oh, wow, that's such a conspiracy. Oh, wow, I never really heard that. Yeah, it is. All religions, hear me out now, come from the basis of the religion being established. It gets further established as a state-approved, state-based state religion. And then they start to use it. They use it as an excuse. Oh yeah, we had this religion. See, we had this hundreds of years ago. Now we use it. Look at America. What do you think the Defense of Marriage Act was? That fight's not over, by the way. The gay agenda just won one battle. You win the single battle. You think those people are just going to lay down and take it? It's an ongoing process. Religion is always within the core of all the secular governments of the world. Even though you might have a secular government with secular thinking people, just in the moment kind of people, they're not spiritual, they're not religious, they're not saying, oh, well, do this and then in the afterlife, blah, 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 blah. They don't care about that. There ain't no afterlife for them. They're a politician, he wants what he wants now. He wants his palm greased. Lobbyists and whoever else, all his cronies and good old boys and all of them together, and one hand washes the other. They want it right now. They don't care about the afterlife. But see, that's where the religion comes home to roost. They are the chiefs of that religion. And sometimes you get hybrids. Sometimes you get, look at this, Hussein Obama. He took that name. His name is really Barry Soetoro, from not his real name, but that was his starting out name, his family name or something. And he comes from Indonesia, supposedly spent a lot of time. I don't dispute that. A lot of time in Indonesia. Then that's a Muslim country. That government is based on their take of the Islamic religion. So he has that influence, and he's got all other, influences. He's got his hands in the pockets of the Muslim Brotherhood, and he's all this and that. He's not like quote-unquote Muslim, you see, because he's in the government. Someone in the government can't really claim that they're in the religion. Not in the modern governments. You can't do that. You can't. You want to cover that up. In fact, they're not really, it's not really that they're covering it up, but see, they got to feed. They're like vampires. They got to suck off the religion to use it as an excuse for things like for Defense of Marriage Act. Look, so you're going to twist it. Sometimes you're going to go against it. Sometimes you're going to go with it. It all depends. It's based on expediency. That's why the government can always waffle. They can always be wishy-washy. Government, it doesn't matter because they don't have to stick to hard and fast rules of the, I shouldn't say hard and fast, but cut and dry laws of the religion. They don't have to do that. They're just going with the new laws that they can manipulate. These new act like Executive Act, Patriot Act, the I'm the dictator of the United States now Act, and so we have this transference going on. But you got to know it's not just linear. But at the same time, as you've got spirituality leads to religion, leads to government. But while you see that transference, that evolution or devolution, you also have at the same time, while the religion is becoming a government, there can be offshoots that are trying to go back to spirituality. And while you've got government trying to pull back to religion, like all these fundamentalists and evangelists and Defense of Marriage Act as an example, we've got government trying to be drawn back to religion, and then there's secularists who want to keep power, like, we can't go with that. We just want to be under the government. You got to choose your master. You want to be on the government? All right, take that side. They might screw you in the end. They really might. You got to be careful of your loyalty because you're expendable. The government will do whatever is expedient for themselves in the day. Religion will do that also. You have the Inquisition, but sometimes they won't. It's like because it's in the afterlife. They're gonna get your soul in the afterlife. You got to be careful of that. So, having said all this, you got to understand there's many streams of direction that you can take. It's more like a circle, and these three things you can flow any which way, and you can flow. Well, if there's only three, I don't see four components here, but I see three that are phases of the same energy. Okay, so wherever you start it, like if you want to start Christianity with Jesus Christ, Yeshua, if you want to go back to Yeshua being a spiritual person, then it develops into religion with Emperor Constantine. He founds Constantinople, all this and that, Holy Roman Empire. And then you get into government from there. All the governments, the Church of England for the UK, British, and the United States. George Washington is supposedly praying and everything and seeing a vision of Jesus. United States, Christianity, Christmas, Easter, all this stuff that they have in the American culture. But then you've got people that want to forget about all the religious basis and just say, oh, it's just government. See, we've always just been government. Okay, really? Well, I guess you could just erase history. Then people don't like that, and they want to go with the religion, pull it back. And then they want to go, oh, just forget about the religion, because we know that was just a watered-down version of it. Let's just go back to spirituality, and we can be mystic. And everybody just does it on their own. You'll find the truth on this, alternative path. Forget about religion, forget about government. Just be true to yourself. Well, thanks for listening. I hope you agreed with something. I hope you learned something. I hope I inspired you to find out the truth. Look forward to hearing from you. Send this out to all your friends. Share it. Favorite this in your playlist and your favorites. And make sure that you're subscribed. And thumbs up for whatever reason. Thanks for listening.